alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I want to play a game.
Hello and welcome to the Sounds from the Grave podcast, a podcast that talks all things horror and horror related. My name is Yussef, and today we have a very special episode. So Vania was actually not available for today's episode. She was working pretty late, so she was not able to make it to our recording session. So we do have a special co-host with me today, coming back to the Sounds from the Grave podcast. Please welcome from the Trick or Treaters podcast, Kyle.
Hello, everyone. Man, I'm the first reoccurring guest on the show. I am very excited about that. In the words of my boy Ghostface in the Scream 2022 trailer, it's an honor.
Perfect choice of words. Yes, absolutely. It's good to have you back. I like that we've now been guests on each other's podcast. So that was fun.
Yep. I got to get V on mine. I haven't had V on there yet.
And obviously, you got to do it on the shed. You got to do if you haven't done so already, you got to do another one.
No, I haven't done the shed yet.
And I love how immediately I told you about this. We got a message from Vania saying, "Do not reference the shed," and I almost immediately referenced the shed.
You let the record show that Yussef did that, not me.
And I did that under a threat that Vania would destroy both of our podcasts.
Yep. What happened? We're to get I don't know what something's gonna happen that's gonna take down all of our recordings.
She's gonna upload some kind of virus that only goes after both of our podcasts. But today we are going to be talking about Evil Dead 2013 remake, the last movie or the last episode of our Evil Dead month, which is a little bittersweet. It's good that we're finishing it up, but at the same time I'm like, dang, I've been having so much fun talking all about Evil Dead, and I'm sad to see it go again.
Yeah, Evil Dead's such a great franchise.
Oh, absolutely. So, we've made it through the original timeline, so Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness, and today we're taking a look at the 2013 remake, directed by Fede Alvarez, who also directed Don't Breathe, which is a great horror movie if you haven't seen it.
It is. I oddly when I saw trailers for it, it looked neat. So I ended up taking a first date on there to see the film, and let's just say there's parts of the movie that I was like, hey, I didn't know this was in the film. Please don't think I'm weird for taking you to see this film.
Oh my god, that would it's hilarious.
Yeah. Yep.
Funny enough, I did see that as a date movie as well, but it had been somebody that I had been dating for a little while, so we were like, yeah, let's go watch it anyway. But it's funny enough, it's a funny little coincidence.
Yeah, well, I still ended up dating this person for about 3 years, so it still worked out. So it didn't turn them away. But I haven't seen the sequel yet. But knowing what I know from the first one, I was like, why would there be a sequel made?
Yeah, right. Especially following the blind man.
Yeah, I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. I don't know if I'll watch the sequel.
Yeah. But yeah, so it is directed by Fede Alvarez. What's really cool too is that I think one of the things that really sets it apart from other remakes, it's the fact that Sam Raimi, Rob Tapert, and Bruce Campbell came back to produce the movie.
Yeah.
So they were, they put their full support behind it, and I think that's what sets it apart from other remakes, and I think what makes it a better remake than some of the other ones that were out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is easily, in my opinion, one of the best horror remakes there is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is my all-time favorite horror remake.
Yeah. This is mine. Right under the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 remake,
which is also amazing. I absolutely love that remake. as a fan, as a huge fan of the franchise, the remake itself is so good. It's
Oh yeah.
incredible.
Oh yeah. But yeah. This one though is just incredible. I saw it in theaters. Uh, and this was before I got really big into Evil Dead, and I just
Hmm.
remember watching this, and I was like, man, that was really fucking good.
Yeah, my first experience was actually I remember seeing a trailer for it, and then at one point I think I rented it from my local library just because I was like, man, this cover looks awesome. I got to see what this is. And
Yeah.
I watched that with my brother and my mom,
Nice. Oh
and my mom
God.
was like, "Oh my god, what is this?" It's like I can't watch this.
I know it's like movies like that we like show people and like people are like watching it with us and they're just like how do you watch like this is crazy. How do you guys watch this? And we're just like, oh, this is cinema, guys. Okay,
they're
this
like
is pure art.
they're like, how do you watch this with a giant bowl of popcorn?
Exactly.
Yeah, so funny, and not only that, it stars. I mean, the only I would say big name in the movie is Jane Levy, because she was later on she was in an ABC show called Suburgatory. She was also in Don't Breathe, and right now she is on a show. I think it's on NBC called Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. So like she has a pretty varied career. Like it's pretty cool stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
But the other actors I've never really seen in anything else. I mean, I think well, they've been in other horror things, but it's been things that I haven't seen. Like I know one of the other female actresses was in Vampire Diaries,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, but without further ado, I think it is time for us to dive right in to Evil Dead.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So I like that the movie. First of all, it has like this little prologue before we get to the title card. So
Hmm.
it's literally this, girl just walking around the woods like she looks like she's been through hell. And then you see these like two people, like these two guys chasing her. So immediately you think, oh crap, like it's like these. I immediately like when you watch this for the first time, you're like, oh crap, are we really gonna start this movie off with an assault?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
that's what
That's
it
what.
like that's the impression that it gives you, and you're like, oh god, please don't do this.
Yeah.
So they are able to hit her in the face with a shotgun, and then they bag her head and essentially kidnap her. Um, but then when we cut back to the girl, she has been tied to a post, and in front of her is like a group of people, really weird looking people too. I don't understand like the like they show like the little like group of people. They zoom in on this one specific guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, why zoom in on him specifically? Like, is he like the weirdest looking one of the bunch or something?
I think so.
And also this little old lady like reading from a book. And then she notices that her dad is there, and she's like, "Hey, Dad, like, what are you doing? Like, why am I tied up like this?" And he's like, "This is for your own good." She's like, "But like, what about Mom?" And he says, "You killed Mom."
Ooh, she
Like,
likes the
dude, you killed her.
yeah, just making the rubbing the salt in the wound.
And of course, she's like, "No, no, that can't be right. Like, I didn't do anything." And this guy's like, "I'm sorry, but like, I gotta do what I gotta do." So he just starts dousing her in gasoline and trying to light the match. And like while he's trying to light it, she's like, "Please, Dad, like, don't do this. Like, there's nothing wrong." And then when he finally lights it up, we cut to her face, and she has been completely possessed.
Oh yeah, great
Ah,
visual.
yes, absolutely. And startles the man so much that he drops the match, but it still lands near her, so like she still bursts into flames,
Yeah,
which is really really good too. It's like I'm just like, how do you like? This is the craziest start to a movie already, because it's not over yet. The guy pulls out a double barrel shotgun, a boomstick, and he just says, "I'm sorry, baby," and just shoots her.
yeah.
And
What
then you
a
get your title card.
what a cold opening.
Jeez, it's such a good representation of the craziness that you're about to get into.
Oh yeah, I agree. I remember watching it in theaters and I saw that. I was like, well, I'm in for a ride.
You're like, well, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
But then we are introduced officially to our cast of characters as they're driving down a country road, just like the original. When they get to a cabin, and that is where we meet our cast, which is comprised of David, Eric, Mia, Olivia, and Natalie. So right off the bat, I do like that they establish these characters pretty quick.
Yeah.
You can tell that there's some kind of like friction between some of them, specifically like David and Eric. And the fact that they allude to the fact that they haven't seen each other in a bit, especially with David, because like David's been kind of working on his own, living on his own with Natalie. So
Yeah.
like it's almost like a reunion type thing. Um, and then we also cut to, and after that we just cut to Mia because she's just kind of by herself standing on top of a car. And if you know your Evil Dead history and your Sam Raimi history, that is indeed a 1978 Oldsmobile, I believe.
I believe you're
Which,
correct.
yeah, which shows up in every single Sam Raimi movie.
Yep.
The car it's like the Stan Lee of the Sam Raimi universe.
Yeah. That's what we wait for, the Oldsmobile cameo.
Yeah. Where's the Oldsmobile?
Where's the Oldsmobile? Yeah.
Um, and now we see that David and Mia are brother and sister. And David is there and he gives her a necklace very similar to the one that Ash gives Linda in the first Evil Dead. Because it's this necklace with like a little like magnifying glass on it. But then he says, "Oh, it's made out of this special wood. It's meant to help with willpower." And that's when she's like, "Oh, you don't believe in this kind of stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, but you do. So like that's why it's important." And we also get to meet the dog, who for some reason they called Grandpa. Like I don't know why they called their dog Grandpa.
Never know. People come up with weird names for dogs.
Like Von Barkenstein.
Yeah, there you go. Von Barkenstein. I like
The
that.
third.
Third, yeah, you got the third in there.
And then we also find out exactly why it is that they're going to the cabin. This is one of the things I like about the remake better than the
Yeah.
original. Like, there's more
Same
of a
here.
concrete reason as to why they're in the cabin.
Yeah.
Because in the original, they're just, oh, we're on vacation. We're just going to go out to this cabin and kind of chill out there.
Yeah, that's what I've always loved about this remake over the original. Because the original, they're going they're going for spring break, and then when you look into like where the movie was filmed, you're like, who the hell would go in the middle of the Tennessee woods in winter
For spring break.
for spring? It makes no sense whatsoever why they're even there.
Yeah.
But this one immediately establishes a reason for us to be here at the cabin. Which I love, because I love when horror films. I know we can take, we're supposed to kind of look past some things in movies, but it's great when you see a film set up a good, solid reason for why a character is in a certain location.
Exactly. And so now we find out that the reason they're there is because Mia is a heroin addict, and they're coming to this cabin to for her to quit cold turkey, and they're going to be there as like her support group to like make sure that she's able to finally kick her addiction. So immediately that sets it up as a much darker tone too.
Yeah, because didn't they reveal that apparently like she got so bad that she even like clinically died at one point?
Yeah, like where she was considered legally dead for like 2 or 3 minutes or something like that when she OD'd.
Yeah.
So you're like, geez, like this is, it immediately hits home for some people. So like, wow, like, that's something that my family has dealt with, or like I've dealt with, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that's what I've seen from like from people who've seen this movie. I've seen reviews like that where people have said that they didn't expect this movie to hit so heavy with that, and they also, that's another aspect that they liked, that there was a lot of relatable aspects to it
Yeah,
Aside that it wasn't just like you could take demon possession as a metaphor for the drug addiction.
exactly. Yeah. Funny enough, I like that there's kind of a little callback to the first Evil Dead where when they're all kind of gathered around this well, and has like her little bag of drugs and she dumps it down the well,
Yeah.
and she tries to come up with this speech, but then she's like can't think of anything, so she's like fuck it. And it's a great callback to the first Evil Dead when they're all in like the dinner table, and Ashley's gonna propose a toast, and he just forgets the words and just says screw it, let's just drink.
Yeah.
Which then also begs the question: if she dumps that supply of drugs into a well with water, how would they get water? And wouldn't that poison the water supply?
Everybody's getting high that night.
Turns out the whole movie was actually a drug induced fever dream.
I'm sure that's a crazy fan theory. You know how fan theories can get.
Oh yeah,
Almost every film is either a dream or a drug induced hallucination.
jeez. And so then our characters, after doing that, they go inside the cabin, and again, the attention to detail is incredible because, especially after I've been seeing the movies like back to back to back, the
Yeah.
architecture and the design of the cabin is spot on. It's like it's almost exactly like the original.
Yeah, it looked almost exactly like the original, but it looked like, I don't know, the best way to say it looked more evil in this one.
Yeah, because it's like always kind of dark. Like there's
Yeah,
always like some sort of dark spots, as opposed to the first one that was pretty well lit.
yeah. In the first one, it's like I wouldn't want to be in either one of these, but when I saw the first one, it's like I wouldn't question much going in. In this
Yeah,
one, I'd be a little bit more worried. I'd be a little bit more skeptical to going in.
absolutely. Yeah, because like if I had to choose between the two, I'd be like, I'll choose the one from Evil Dead One because at least that one has like light in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like this one is just uninviting. It's dark. It's destroyed, all full of junk and crap and stuff. You're like, I don't
yeah.
want to be here.
Yep, something's not right here.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, um, I think the same set design or the same type of architecture was used for Cabin in the Woods.
It looks very familiar.
Yeah,
You could be right. I believe you are.
which I'm like, that's
Yeah,
very cool idea as well. Like very nice thing to
yeah,
do.
yeah. I've always thought about that too. I never like really put that together. I was like, huh? Because like the Cabin in the Woods, I know that they do a lot of parodies of or like, of different films, but it's like, did they really base the cabin off of Evil Dead?
Yeah,
Because it kind of looks like it.
yeah, and like it looks almost exactly like it. So like,
Yeah,
so that's why I thought it was pretty cool. Um, but then we realized too that it is a family cabin. So it's it's a cabin that David and Mia's family has owned, and it's just kind of fallen into disrepair. And it's because nobody's been there for years because their mom had passed away, and they don't really ever mention what happened to the dad.
yeah,
But yeah, but then they get settled in. They kind of have their own little thing where Mia has this cute little moment where she looks through like a bunch of pictures of like the group back in the day, like when they were all together
for the heroin.
before before the dark times. And then I do like, and again, I like how the characters are established. They're given a little bit more time to like get them fleshed out.
Yeah,
So we learn here that Mia and David's mom had been in the hospital and she was really sick and might have been suffering from something like dementia or Alzheimer's because she would say like sometimes I would go to the hospital and she thought that I was you.
yeah. Uh, that was sad to hear.
Yeah, and again, that's like really heavy subject matter too.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of heavy subject matter in this
Yeah,
film.
absolutely. Um, but it's we also come to realize a little bit more of the issues between the group, especially like the friction between them right now because um, David had kind of abandoned the group to kind of do his own thing, and everybody was kind of mad about that because he essentially like ran away from having to take care of his mom.
Yeah. Yeah, because didn't Mia pretty much had to, right?
Yeah, like she pretty much
Yeah.
single handedly took care of her mother.
Yeah.
And again, it plays into the types of characters they are. So they all have
Yeah.
outside of just being cookie cutter characters, they have their flaws, they have their issues, which
Yeah.
is something that kind of plays around the entire movie with David, where he's kind of rationalizing things and trying to kind of not to kind of be a coward about it in a certain way.
Yeah. 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 And I like that aspect too because once again, it's they're dealing with like real life heavy stuff where sometimes stuff like that happens where
Hmm.
a family member may get sick and have to be taken care of, and it may just be too much for one of the siblings to handle, so they have to leave.
Yeah. Um, but we after that we have like a small time jump, and by small I literally mean like we just cut to like hours later.
Yeah,
And we see Mia beginning to deal with her withdrawal, so like the shakes, but then the fever and all that kind of stuff. Um, and you can like again, Jane Levy's acting in this is incredible because like you can tell that this is something like she's going through it.
oh yeah.
After a while, I think this is when they sedate her at one point so she can kind of get some rest, or is that or do they just kind of leave her to kind of just sit like stay in the room? I think I don't remember specifically.
Uh, Maybe sedate.
I think so because I know that I think at one point I think it's like the next day it starts pouring rain and it's really weird. So you just see her pacing in a circle in front of the cabin, just like in the
Yeah,
middle of this rainstorm.
yeah.
And then she sees something out there, and she's like, "What the fuck was that?"
I think she basically sees like her, but demonic form.
Yeah, like a demonic version of her.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Yeah, fuck that." Runs into the cabin. She's like, "Hey, I need to go."
I mean, I don't blame her.
Yeah, honestly. And of course, everybody's like, "No, you can't leave. Like this is we knew this was gonna happen, but you have to stay here. We have to get you clean because like we care
Yeah.
about you," type thing.
Yeah,
Um,
but like it's so weird because like she even like it's very weird. It's very clear that she is obviously distraught and wants to go, and she even tells them that this isn't a she's trying to get out of it. She'll still do it, but she just wants to do it somewhere else that's
yeah,
not there.
yeah, and at the same time, it is kind of like that whole addicts mentality where they'll say
Yeah,
anything just
yeah,
to please you, so they can do what they need to do.
yeah.
So like that's probably why they're so adamant about her staying there because you're like no, like you can't talk your way out of this.
Yeah, it was really hard to like. It feels like a heavy thing to see as well because it's like on one hand you understand why they don't want to leave, but on the other hand
Yeah.
it's like because it's like it's kind of shitty of them to not allow her to leave because they're using her past against her,
Mm-hmm.
trying to
Exactly.
justify it, and it's like it's kind of crappy.
Yeah. But at one point, yeah, so they all kind of band together to tell her that she can't leave. So she just takes the keys anyway and just runs out a window
Yep.
and just gets into one of the cars. Starts driving off, saying like "fuck, fuck, fuck, fuck," like I can't deal with this. Until in front of the road or in the middle of the road, she sees her demonic self again and swerves and straight up just rams the car into a lake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is not your car, right? It's probably like Olivia or Eric's car or something like that.
Yeah, well, it's
It's
done
gone
for
now.
now. And, I mean, if she even if they wanted to leave now, they can't now.
Exactly right. Um, so
It's
then,
so
mhm,
it's so weird that Mia is seeing her demonic form, like her's a demon, because this kind of shows you that this demon wasn't gonna possess anyone. Like it picked her out.
yeah, probably because she had like the weakest willpower because of the whole
Yeah,
addiction thing. So they were like, okay,
yeah,
perfect. Like that is exactly what we need.
yep, exactly. But she was pretty much doomed from the beginning of this.
Yeah, but so when she hits when she runs into the river or the lake, she knocks herself out, and when she wakes up, the car is filling up with water, so she gets out, starts trying to swim out, and she hears her friends calling in the distance for her. And this part, I remember when I watched this for the first time, I legit jumped because like they show you this kind of peaceful shot of the car, in the river, kind of panning across the fog in the forest, and you hear her friends in the background. When suddenly this creature just pops up out of the ground,
Yeah,
I was like, "Holy
yeah,
shit!"
yeah. It's a really great shot.
Yeah, like, and of course this thing is absolutely terrifying. So Mia's like, "Nope, I'm running out. I'm out. I'm
Oh
done."
yeah, I don't blame her.
Yeah. So she's running through the woods, and then the evil force is chasing her, very similar to the first movie and the first and second movie. And like the same type of shot, it's like this shaky cam kind of running through the forest type thing.
Yeah,
And she unfortunately trips and falls into a bramble of thickets or a thicket of brambles, whatever the word is. So she's pretty
yeah.
much trapped in there. And very similar to the tree scene in the first Evil Dead.
Yeah,
Thankfully, it's
but
not as uncomfortable.
exactly. Like
Still
luckily,
uncomfortable, but not as
yeah,
much as
it's
the other one.
uncomfortable, but not as bad. Like they at least this one they learn from Sam Raimi, who I mean Sam Raimi's went on record numerous times and said that he regrets putting that in the first film, that he wish he would have done it a different way.
Yeah,
So it's I'm glad to see other people show that they can still do it, but not show it how they did in the 1980. Was it 1981?
yeah, 81.
Yeah, 1981 film.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome though. Like, no, actually, not like awesome. I mean, like the fact that there were more what's the word I'm looking for? They were more restrained was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Especially for it to be a remake with this a lot more brutal, because it's like
mhm.
you think they'd like, yeah, we're gonna show it. Because I mean, I've seen other films with like similar things in it that are remakes of movies that didn't hold back.
Not at all. Yeah. So I appreciate this movie doing that. But she gets attacked by the roots, gets all tied up, and then right in front of her, she sees the demonic version of her, and that always freaked me out too. Because like the quick, rapid breathing is just so unnatural.
I always liked the demonic form of Mia
Yeah.
though. It looks awesome.
Oh yeah, the makeup effect, the makeup work in this entire movie is incredible.
Yeah, and I think I read that they didn't even do like much, if any, CGI. That most of this film is practical effects.
Yeah, like the only CGI they use was, I believe, for some fire scenes,
Yeah,
and
you can tell too with
yeah,
those.
but it's such a small amount of CGI that like
Yeah,
the practical effects just completely overshadow that. So
yeah. I say it all the time on our show. I mean, if you have the budget for it, practical effects over CGI every day. I
any day of
choose
the
that
week,
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah,
So then the processed version of Mia just throws up or like gags out this black goo vine, which then travels across through the thicket and then goes towards Mia and uh, enters her body and possesses her, which is as terrifying as it sounds.
So now it's weird. So now it's like so Mia is now demonic Mia
Yeah.
that she got from demonic Mia. It's demonic Miaception.
It's Miaception.
Yeah, it's Miaception.
That's funny. So then the rest of the group finds her huddled up against this tree in the woods, and are like, all right, come on, let's take you back. Let's get you okay. And obviously you can tell that this poor girl is not okay. Like, she is visibly terrified, visibly shaken up. And so they take her back to the cabin. The rain is still, pouring, going insane. And David goes to check up on her, and again, she's just curled up in this fetal position, and she has her eyes wide open and tells David's like, David, please, I need to get out of here. Like, there's something out in those woods, and it once is dead.
Yep. But of course, they're not listening because they think she's still trying to get out.
Yep. But not to mention too, actually, before we get to that, I forgot to mention the fact that when they get to the cabin, Mia notices a smell, which nobody notices at first.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was like,
we forgot something.
I think we completely skipped a big part.
A huge part.
Yeah.
So at one point, they finally do notice the smell of decay and rotting, and that's where they pull out this rug and find the cellar with the like a streak of blood leading down to the cellar. So they decide to go down and see what the hell has been going on down there, and they find something incredibly creepy: a room filled with hanging cat corpses.
Yeah.
Which is gross. Disgusting.
It's like, first of all, the trail of blood didn't deter you from going down there. Then when you see the hanging cat corpses, you think you'd be like, huh, I'm going to get the hell out of here.
It's like, you know what? Nah. And then, of course, he's like, don't worry. We'll take the cats out. We'll bag them up and bury them out in the back.
Exactly. Like, because that's what you do in that situation.
But that then is where they find several things, just like the original as well, where they find a shotgun with a box of shells and a book, but this time wrapped in like what it looks to be like a plastic trash bag, and then barbed wire.
Yeah, it's a book wrapped in a black garbage bag, wrapped in barbed wire.
And of course, your first instinct is, you know what? Let's grab it and see what it is.
Now, I'm no expert on this, but if I'm out in the middle of the woods in an evil-looking cabin, and I've already got someone who already thinks that there's something evil out in the woods, and I find a book in a cellar that I remind you that we followed a blood trail down to find, and then cat corpses in a book that is wrapped in garbage bag, wrapped in barbed wire. I'm gonna open that book?
You kidding me?
I don't think so. I don't look at that and be like, oh, that looks like a great read.
Oh, look, it's a new J.K. Rowling. Harry Potter and the Evil Dead.
Oh, fuck.
Now I'm imagining Hagrid just being like, you're a dead-eyed Harry.
You're a dead-eyed Harry. I'm a what? A dead-eye. And a damn good one at that one.
You've been swallowing souls since you were a young boy.
Oh, fuck. That's fucking great.
It's a whole new headcanon now.
Yep,
dead-eyed Harry Potter.
Dead-eyed Harry Potter. Who'd have known?
Right?
Redacted created the Evil Dead universe within Harry Potter.
Oh man. But Eric, the dumb one, I'm gonna call him the dumb one because this is honestly he's the one that does the stupidest thing, which is read from the book.
The dumbass who reads from a book that
That
once again was wrapped in barbed wire in a cellar full of cat corpses with a blood trail that led to it. Reads from a book.
that is also bound in human skin because you can tell it's human skin.
Yes. Found in human skin. With
And
warnings on every
it was
page
like,
that
"Do
says,
not
do
read."
not read this.
Like this guy. I will say this. I don't. One of the things I don't particularly love is the design of the book in this one.
Yeah.
I've always liked the style of the book with the faces and stuff on it.
Yeah.
Like, granted,
Yeah,
it doesn't look bad. It honestly, it looks like something like Ed Gein would have made.
Odell for sure. Yeah.
But just compared to the original look of it with like the face and everything, I've always liked that design better.
Yeah, the original design definitely much better. But and this dumbass Eric, he is something.
This
Like
dumbass.
he's literally the person who, like, you have a, hey, don't push that button. He's like,
Yeah,
what,
I'm gonna
what if
push
I
the button.
push it though? What if I push it? I kind of want to push it, not gonna lie.
So yeah, he looks through the book, looks at all the horrifying, creepy pictures in there, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna keep looking through this. And then he finds a page that says, "Do not look at it, do not read from it, do not say it out loud," like that kind of stuff. And you can see that there's a page that's been ripped out. And this man does the only smart thing he does, which I didn't know you could do this. He grabs a piece of paper and like scratches the pencil on it so you can see what was written on there.
I did not know you could do that.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's pretty cool. But then he just begins to read from it because that's just a thing you do.
Yeah, the page that told you not to read from it. That wasn't even in there, that you had to put in work to get.
He's like, "Damn it, I worked. I worked for it. I might as well read
Yep.
it." So of course he reads from the book, unleashes the evil, and that really sets like the majority of the plot in motion.
Yeah, which leads us to evil, demonic Mia.
Yes, but before we get to that, when they lock her into that room, at one point David goes out to the work shed because I think he just goes to either find something or he goes to just check on Grandpa.
Yeah.
So then at first he doesn't find him, and then he hears or he looks down like a little crawl space near the woodshed, and he sees Grandpa just kind of laying there. So he's like, all right, let me go grab this poor dog. He's probably like soaking wet. He also sees like a little bit of blood on the ground. So he's like, oh, maybe he got hurt. And we, cut to David inside the woodshed. Grabs, you can see, he can see the hole, like the little crawl space hole, and pulls the dog out. And we find out that poor Grandpa has been savagely murdered.
Yep.
With a hammer. And I'm like, I did not need that.
Nope.
Like that is a step too far. I'm sorry. But no, we don't do that to animals, damn it.
Exactly. Kill all the people you want, but not animals.
But not a single animal, please. Especially not a cute dog like Grandpa. But David is, of course, kind of freaked out by that, so he just, bursts back into the cabin. He's like, I gotta talk to Mia, like, I gotta figure out, she might have done this. So Mia is in the bathroom in the shower where the door is locked, and she's just literally just sitting or like standing in the shower, with the hot water. She starts kind of like twitching a little bit, and then she's like, all right, hot shower time. And
I mean, is that what you do?
Oh my god! But I don't know. I mean, this is literal boiling water on her, and it's so nasty too. Because like that's when they finally break the door down, and she's just laying in there, and like her skin is starting to like pop and burst from like the burns, and you're like, oof, that's rough.
The water's a little too hot in the shower.
Yeah. Oh man, it was crazy though. So they're like, okay, something's definitely going on with Mia. So like,
Yeah.
David, puts her in his jeep and just speeds off. And unfortunately, they aren't able to go very far because that's when they notice that the bridge they had crossed has been filled with water because of all the rain. It's like it's flooded out.
Yep.
So they're like,
How,
shit, we're trapped.
how convenient.
How convenient.
And Mia's like face burning in the shower is actually something that fulfills the prophecy from the book.
Correct, which is something that Eric had noticed while reading the Book of the Dead.
You know,
Um,
Eric, the dumbass who reads the barbed wire wrapped books.
God damn it, Eric. God damn it.
Yep. Uh,
Uh, all right, and it is now time for our grave robbing fact. So, where we give you some behind the scenes, little tidbits and trivia about the film we are discussing, which is 2013's Evil Dead. So, we're going to start off with our first grave robbing fact, and that is that 95% of the remake was actually shot in order. And the reason that they did this was because the film takes place in a controlled environment, which is the majority of this film takes place inside this cabin. And as the level of blood, violence, and gore just gets worse, it would make sense that by shooting in order, so that way, they don't have to do as much cleanup. So, like, for example, they have a scene where, like, if they have to pour blood all over the floor, but then the next scene they shoot is, like, an hour or two before that happened, it makes no sense to clean up all that blood.
yeah. Which is, totally makes sense.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I applaud them for being smart in doing this.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's something that would have caused a lot of continuity errors.
Yeah. Can you imagine that having to watch this and you're like, you're really paying attention. You're like, oh, well, that's fucking weird. There was literally blood last scene and now there's not.
So what did they do?
Yeah. So the next one is, according to reports in the press, the film used 70,000 gallons of fake blood.
Dear
In an
Lord.
interview, yeah, that's a little bit of an overkill. In an interview, Hide Alvarez said that they used 50,000 for the final scene alone, which is in comparable is there it was only 200 to 300 gallons used in the original film.
That's ridiculous. Like, just for the final scene, that's so much blood, so much
That's
fake blood.
insane. Uh, but it's like props to them that wasn't CGI. That was actual
Heck
fake
yeah.
blood and practical effects. That's great.
All major props for that.
That's
Uh,
insane though. 70,000 versus 300 gallons in the original. Jesus Christ.
and I'm pretty sure the 300 gallons of that just went straight to that pipe burst that just covers ash and blood.
Yeah.
Jeez. 70,000 gallons, oh my god. I don't think I've ever drank 70,000 gallons of water in my life. Okay, I can't
Yeah.
imagine
I
70,000
can't
gallons of water.
imagine 70,000 gallons of fake blood. That's insane.
Jeez. But our next grave robbing fact, if you take the first letter of the main characters, which are David, Eric, Mia, Olivia, and Natalie, they actually spell out the word demon. And
That's cool.
that is such a cool little fact, right?
Yeah. I love how people pick up on that. Because like I wouldn't like see that like read their names and instantly be like,
Oh, it's
oh
demon.
wow, it spells out demon. Yeah, you'd have to point that out to me.
Yeah,
I'll,
that's something I didn't even know. I was like, that's such a nice little detail to add. Just like, they didn't need to do that, but they're like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it anyway. It's gonna be fun.
yeah, I love little bitty tidbits like that people do, whether they do it intentionally or not. It's great. Uh, the next fact is the film primarily used practical special effects, like we said before, much like the original film. However, CGI was used to add fire and remove wires and equipment used for the effects. Many fans of the series feared that since this was a remake, it would resort to CGI rather than practical effects, and this caused some people to avoid the film. Since that is not the case, many fans are thankful for the choice the filmmakers had made, and as I am as well.
Oh, same here. Like,
Who,
the major
yeah,
testament to that is the remake slash prequel to The Thing in 2011, where the
yeah.
CGI was such a mess, especially because there was that footage that had come out of some of the practical effects that they were going to use for the creatures. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, why did you decide to shelf that? It would have been so much better.
Or awful CGI Freddy in the Nightmare remake.
Jeez. Dear Lord.
God, he looked terrible.
By far
The,
the absolute worst horror remake out there.
I would agree. I would agree. There are fans, and that's fine. But yeah, in my opinion, it's definitely the worst thing I've ever
By
seen
far.
by far. Like, oof. Yeah, practical effects is so much better over
Yeah.
CGI. Like, if I find out that a film used practical effects like over CGI, even if it wasn't one that I was particularly interested in, I'll give it a chance.
Hmm.
Because I mean, especially like especially like, back in the '80s, man, those like the effects they use on like the '80s like slashers, like the little campy slashers, are so fucking good.
Yeah. Like, I remember, like, when I would watch movies, like those big action movies as a kid from like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that looks so cool. And then you would see, movies from like the mid to late 2000s that would use like CGI blood spatter when people got shot or something. And I was like, man, I miss squibs.
Yeah,
Squibs just make everything better. Because it looks
exactly.
so much more realistic.
Like yeah, I've seen where movies where who relied too much on CGI, and like how like sometimes when it messes up, how horrible it looks. Like I used to have a copy of X Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, God.
I think it was the copy, like it was a copy that a friend burnt me off the line. But I think the version he burnt was like not the finished film. I mean, it obviously wasn't, because there's literally a part where like at the start of the film where it's like going through the different wars. There's a part where Wolverine's like in the trench and you're supposed to see a plane like come by, and I guess like in that version of the film that he downloaded, it wasn't finished. So this fake ass CGI plane just comes flying in.
Oh, my God.
And that wasn't even the worst part of that version. Like I used to keep that version and show people because it was just absolutely hilarious to see. Like there's a part where Sabretooth like pulls out his claws and he's supposed to scratch at the window, but in this version, they didn't put the claw effect, and so it literally has his hand put up, and then literally it
Just
pops up.
the
It
scratch mark.
pops. It pops up on words. Claws extend here and has an arrow.
Oh, my God. So that was like a work print. Jeez, that's crazy.
Oh yeah. Then there's a part where they're like in the plane, and you can literally see them behind a green screen. I was like, what the hell is this?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But our next fact here. So, Cyan Davis, who played the old woman in the opening scene that was reading from the Necronomicon, would actually later play a Deadite possessed lady in the pilot episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead. She played the little old lady Deadite at the beginning of the episode, or at the end of the episode.
Okay.
So I thought that was a nice little
I
callback.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check it out. I actually haven't got around to watching Ash versus Evil Dead yet,
Mm,
but I've heard good things. I'll
yeah,
definitely have to check it out soon.
yeah. It's a very fun show. It definitely follows more in the vein of like Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2, but not as like Three Stooges funny as Army of Darkness.
Ah,
It's more like situational humor,
yeah,
which is it's still really good, and like the action scenes are really well made too.
yeah. The next fact is David ventures down into the cellar to reclaim Mia from the clutches of the evil dead in a homage to Ash's first encounter with the Deadite in Army of Darkness, 1992. The cellar is partially flooded. It's all around gloominess, mirrors the well Ash spots in. Mia also appears to launch herself at David in quick, savage bursts, much like how the female Deadite lunges at Ash.
Yes. So one of the things about this movie is it has a bunch of content in it, and if you're a big fan of the franchise, you notice so many Easter eggs and so many things that are thrown in there. Like that specific scene, some of the camera work, especially with like some of like the montage close-ups of stuff. So
Yeah.
like a bunch of, even like certain pieces of dialogue, even like sound bites were used. Like one of the scenes where Mia is like screaming, and then like a bunch of the windows in the cabin break, you hear an audio tidbit that is from the original Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
yeah, and even when they actually get to the cabin, you can kind of hear in the background like the original sound of the Evil Dead saying "Join us."
Yeah.
So like that, just like the care that they took and the attention to detail really just sells this movie.
Well, I mean, you got Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and Rob producing it, so
Yeah, they
I would
they
hope
know their
that. I would
stuff.
hope so. Yeah.
But our next fact here: if you pause the opening witch burning scene, if you pause it at exactly 2 minutes and 25 seconds over the burning possessed girl's right shoulder, you actually see the face of an angry demon in the flames.
I need to do this. I haven't done this yet, and I've always heard about that.
Yeah, it's one of those things I think like I would need to watch it on like Premiere so I can literally go frame by frame with it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like watching it on DVD, it's gonna be so hard to go like a frame at a time on there.
Yeah. I'll definitely have to try this out whenever I get a chance to. The next fact is Diablo Cody polished and Americanized the screenplay while remaining uncredited, which is a really something because for all those that don't know, Diablo Cody is the person who directed and wrote Jennifer's Body.
Which is an amazing movie.
Yeah. One of my all time favorites that unfortunately got really screwed over because of marketing.
Yeah.
And because of marketing, the film kind of ruined all the film. But luckily, for what I've noticed in the past few years, there's been kind of a resurgence where people have finally started to give it a chance and watch it and have absolutely fallen in love with it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
And
become like a modern cult classic at this point.
yeah, and I'm so happy to see that. Like, I've told people forever. It's like I honestly think they should just re-release Jennifer's Body in theaters now that people know that it's not what it is. Because like literally, marketing for that movie was terrible. That they literally just marketed it as a film for boys who thought Megan Fox was hot, and
That's pretty much
it's
what it was. Yeah.
actually and it's actually a lot more of it's pretty much like a modern, it's pretty much like a feminism like movie and stuff like that,
Hmm.
and it's just a really great film.
It really is. And Diablo Cody's super talented.
Yeah,
And by
extremely
Americanizing the
talented.
script, like they mean it's because Fede Alvarez and the person that he wrote the script with, English isn't their first language, so Diablo Cody had to go
Yeah,
in there and kind of make it a little bit like gel with certain terms and stuff to make sure that everybody could relate to those terms.
yeah, and she did this uncredited. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, you know what? I think it's probably because she's friends with Sam Raimi, because I think if
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken, Sam Raimi also produced or executive produced Jennifer's Body.
I think so.
So like they were probably good friends at that point, and they were like, hey, you want to do us a solid? Um,
Could
yeah, that
be
was
it.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do like that that little fact there that we would since it's uncredited, you never would have noticed that Diablo Cody had something to do with the making of this film.
yep.
But the next fact that we have here for you, in the opening sequence, the gas, originally that read petrol, because IMDb, I guess, the person who posted this was from Europe. But the gas
Yep.
that Harold pours over the girl at the beginning of the film was actually apple juice.
That's hilarious.
And when we hear, like, don't waste the apple juice, drink some of it at least.
I know, right? I would have been like, they would have had to be like taking numerous
Takes. Like,
takes
Kyle,
because I
Kyle,
would have been
stop drinking
drinking
the
it.
juice.
Kyle, it's fucking gas. It looks terrible of you drinking it. Yeah, well, you shouldn't use apple juice, okay?
Kyle, would you take a 5?
So yeah, sure. Can I get a cup of that apple juice?
You're like that episode of It's Always Sunny with Dee when she's in an M. Night Shyamalan movie. She's supposed
Oh
to be playing
yeah.
a dead body, but she just keeps messing up.
Oh, that was the funniest stuff. And then she's like trying to look, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't care that we don't see your face. You're a dead body.
Like your equivalent of that would just be drinking the apple juice as supposed to be dousing his gasoline over you.
Yeah. That episode's great. Uh, yeah. So the last fact, or maybe it's not the last. Who knows? The illustration of the abomination in the Necronomicon is based on the poster artwork for the original film, The Evil Dead, 1981.
Yeah. I like how you can always tell which one people are certain people are referring to, because the original is called The Evil Dead, and then this version is just called Evil Dead.
Yeah, sometimes I mix it up. Like I have to look up, was Evil Dead 1981 or was it 2013?
Yeah. Yeah, I always just call I always just call this one like Evil Dead 2013, just because I know there's going to be confusion.
No, it's like how I get confused when I hear The Fast and the Furious or Fast and Furious. Which one is it?
Who knows? They're both family though.
They're both family. That's right. And I actually have a bonus fact that I thought was really neat. So Sam Raimi, Taper, and Bruce Campbell, they all confirmed that this movie, the 2013 Evil Dead, is in the same continuity as the original trilogy. And the plan originally was to make the sequel, Army of Darkness 2, sequel to this film, starring Mia, and one final film with Ash and Mia teaming up to fight Deadites. But unfortunately for us as fans, Universal Studios passed on Army of Darkness 2, with Ash's adventure now being told in Ash vs. Evil Dead, and the sequel was unfortunately shelved, and so it's doubtful that we'll ever see this team up happen.
It's such a shame too. That would have been
That
such
makes
a
me
crazy good story.
right. Are you telling me we could have had Army of Darkness 2 as a house at HHN or a scare zone?
Oh, I gotta tell you, once we finish like discussing Evil Dead 2013, I gotta tell you about the Evil Dead 2013 house for Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh God, yes.
Because wow, it was insanely good. But that is all of the grave robbing facts that we have for you in this episode. So now we are going back to the plot of the film. Alright, and we are back. So we left off with David and Mia having to go back to the cabin after finding out that the river has flooded over and they can no longer get out of the wooded area where they are currently stuck in. So they go back and they decide to sedate Mia so they can kind of figure out what they're going to do, if they're going to, wait for the rain to stop so they can go out and get her to the hospital. Or, what is the plan going to be? But then, out of nowhere, in the middle of this conversation, Mia just wakes up, grabs the boomstick, and just walks right over. No big deal. And of course, everybody's freaked out because they were like, wait, she's supposed to be sleeping. She's supposed to be sedated. And she straight up just looks at him, dead in the eye, and just shoots at David. And hurts him. That doesn't kill him, just kind of grazes his arm.
Yeah.
And then she just screams and just says, "You are all going to die here tonight," and then just passes out.
Yeah, I fucking love this scene because she screams and the door comes busting open and it just looks all creepy and stuff and everything's all crazy happening. And then she just goes, "You're all going to die tonight," and then just falls.
Yeah, and with the weird voice effect where it's like her voice is like triple tracked or something.
Yeah, it was like one of those awesome just one scene moments. It reminded me of the first Resident Evil movie where you first come across a Red Queen and she says that line, "You're all going to die down here."
Oh yeah, oh yeah, Jesus, almost exactly like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course she passes out, and Olivia goes to check on her, and Very, just like the first movie, Mia is pretending to be passed out, so she just attacks Olivia and then just throws up a ridiculous amount of like foam blood at her,
Hmm.
like all over this poor girl's face. Jeez, until she finally is able to fight her off and then literally pushes her off and she just drops into the cellar and they just lock her in there. Like I like that they don't grab her and put her in the cellar. Like Olivia just like pushes her off and she just falls in there.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't playing around then. They
No.
knew that it was like, okay, we can't. We got to get her the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So then Eric goes back to the book and see if maybe he can find some answers, and that's when he notices one of the drawings that shows somebody ripping or cutting their face open.
Yeah.
And when we go to Olivia and she's trying to clean herself off, we realize that she has now been possessed as well, and breaks the bathroom mirror and takes a shard and begins to strip off pieces of her face.
Wow.
Yeah, like this movie does not hold back.
Nope.
And
The
Eric
vacation,
goes.
the vacation or slash rehabilitation for Mia has been ruined so far.
Yes, absolutely, it has.
Not a fun time in the woods.
No, oof, no, not at all. I mean, well, for the Evil Dead, it's a blast. They're like, this is the
Right.
best. This is the best spring
Yeah.
break ever. But yeah, Eric goes to check on her and just comes across her just literally cutting pieces of her face off. Part of her skull you can kind of be seeing, and part of the muscle and like sinew and that kind of stuff.
Oh god, it's such a great shot.
Yeah, it's the makeup work again, just incredibly good, just well made.
Yep.
So, of course, Eric is just like, what the fuck is this? Like, what are you doing? And Olivia's like, don't worry, I got this. Just proceeds to stab him in the chest with the piece of glass, then grabs a needle and repeatedly stabs him in the eye through his glasses. And jeez, is it like super violent, but also really really fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
Cause like she does not let up. I do like the fact that like his glasses kind of protect him at first, but then it's like nah, they won't work anymore. Like this needle is going through those glasses.
Yeah.
And at one point he's able to fight her off, grabs the top of the toilet tank off the toilet in the bathroom, and just goes to town. Savagely has to just beat her up
Oh yeah.
by essentially just smashing her head against this
He
toilet
goes,
tank.
he goes to town all right.
Oof, my
He
god.
takes he takes care of Olivia.
Yep, he absolutely does. I also do like that shot where he pulls because part of the needle falls off like the little plunger thing, and just gets
Yeah.
stuck to his face, and just that shot of him like having to pull it out. Oh, it's so good.
Oh god, yeah.
But that's when they kind of realize that hey, this is we're dealing with a very very serious situation here. Like this is not just Mia anymore. And so again, they go back to kind
But
of
yeah, it's definitely not Mia. It's like
yeah.
it's pretty much like they're pretty much like Mia, here, grab a Snickers. Not
You're
you
not
when
you
you're
when you're
hungry.
hungry. Oh jeez. Um. So at one point they have like this confrontation of like what to do or what not to do. And especially Eric is trying to give David the information on what he thinks is happening with like hey, like I read from the book. I think I will. I made a mistake. The only way that we can fix this is we have to kill Mia. And at first, David is like, "Hey, I'm not having this. Like, you are not killing my sister." And then he tries to rationalize it by saying, "It's like, oh, maybe the cats in the cellar had some sort of infection and it just got passed down to Mia. So like maybe it was that." Because like he just can't refuse or like can't accept the fact that it's something that's supernatural in origin.
Yeah. Love how Eric says, "Oh, I think I made a mistake." You fucking think?
You think so?
Think so, sir? You read from a book. Again, bound in barbed wire. With pages that told you not to read this.
That are also in human blood.
Human blood. And what'd you do? You fucking read it.
But then we get to probably one of the craziest scenes in the movie, where Natalie is in the main living area where the cellar is, and she starts to hear Mia calling for help. It's like, she's like, "Natalie, like, please just let me out. I think I'm doing okay now." And Natalie unfortunately falls for it. She goes down into the cellar and is then attacked by Mia, the possessed Mia. And Natalie just grabs a box cutter and doesn't really seem to do much with that. So that's when Mia kind of makes a sexual advance toward her, but then bites her in the hand and makes Natalie drop the box cutter. And Mia's like, "Watch this. This is how box cutters work." So she pulls up the whole blade on it, and like runs her tongue down, and so she gives herself a forked tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, "Holy shit!"
Holy shit!
And then proceeds to yell at Natalie, "Now kiss me, you dirty cunt," and just kisses her with her mouth full of blood. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Oof.
Like,
Natalie's
God,
hardcore.
This is some brutal stuff.
Natalie's into the kinky shit.
Oh, man. That's funny. Natalie's into forked tongues and blood play.
Nope. Exactly.
So then David hears the commotion, opens the cellar door, and is able to push back or pull back Natalie. And Mia stares at him and then just says yet another zinger. "Why don't you come on down here so I can suck your cock, pretty boy?"
Oh,
and I'm
God.
like, and of course, like when I was watching this, like right before we were recording, my first thought was, "Oh no, stepbrother, I'm stuck in the washing machine. I need help getting out."
God damn it. Oh no, step bro, I'm possessed. I need help.
I need to be exercised.
Why's that with demons and their obsessions with sucking cocks? Because
I don't know.
Because exorcists.
Your mother
the
sucks
famous
cocks
line.
in hell.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
Like they are like, demons are kinky.
They are.
Because even like when David's like, just please let Mia go, or like give me my sister back, and the possessed version of Mia is like, "Oh, don't worry, she's getting raped in hell."
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh my God."
Jesus Christ. Mia.
God damn. So after a little while, Natalie goes to tend to her wound, where she goes to run it under some water and kind of squeezes like this like black nasty pus out of it. Which is honestly like one of my favorite shots. I don't know why. Like I always like the look of like this. It almost looks like little black worms kind of like squeezing out of her.
Yeah, it's like
I'm gross.
no medical expert, but I think if if black pus or black worm stuff is coming out, you're probably fucked.
You're probably gonna want to get that checked out. There's something I do need to mention that I forgot about. So at one point when Eric had gotten stabbed, and they're tending to his wound, obviously he's got like this huge stab wound like near his heart, and he's gushing out blood. So David's idea is to just put duct tape on it.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, duct tape fixes everything.
It also heals, ridiculously large stab wounds.
I think that's in the directions. I think that says that's a usage.
for stab wounds.
Yeah, ridiculously large stab wounds, duct tape.
So then, so yeah, she goes to tend off to her wounds, and she sees that the wound starts to get infected, kind of like spreading across her hand, very similar to Ash in Evil Dead 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Mia's face pop out from under the cellar to just stare at her as she transforms, or she gets possessed. And she's over here like, oh, I'm going to watch the show. This is going to be fun.
Mia's such a bitch. God.
So, Natalie's like, nah, you're not getting a free show here. So she grabs a little like ham cutter thing that she was using, the electric cutter. And she's like, fuck it, I gotta do what I gotta do. And she just starts, just attacking that arm. Yeah. And you got blood just spilling all over the place, all over her, all over the ground. Meanwhile, Mia's like, don't cut it off. Don't fucking cut it off, you bitch.
Yeah, don't fuck it off. It's like, oh, she's cutting off. And it's like, man, she must have been really like determined to the point that she just like, her mind just like,
I need to get rid of this thing.
Her mind just like went blank on the or helped her like ease out of the pain, because she didn't look like she was even in pain. She just looked like she just was immediately trying to go to town. Like, you didn't see her scream out in pain or anything.
Yeah.
Like, she just immediately is cutting off her arm and does not fucking care.
But then when she finally screams, and then the power goes out because like I guess the turkey cutter thing just blows the fuse and just plunges everything into darkness. So they grab a flashlight when they go to check on her. I think we get a really, really cool shot where they just like turn and look at the kitchen and just see this giant pool of blood, and they follow the streak of it up to where Natalie is just laying against the fridge, and you only see her regular arm, the one that was fine, that didn't get infected.
Yeah.
And when she turns and she's like, I feel so much better now, her arm is literally hanging by a thread.
Yeah, and it just fucking falls.
And then it just plops right off.
I was like, oh my god, that was great.
Like, damn, that took some stones to just, have to cut your own hand off like that. Because obviously, Ash did it too, but like, this is a whole arm. Because Ash's was just a hand.
Yeah, Ash did it with a hand. This was a whole arm, and it was with a little like turkey electric cutter.
Which would have been a lot worse because it's a lot more pain. Because with the chainsaw, it's like quick and easy.
Yeah.
But then, I think Mia's just kind of like hanging around, and I think they have to like push her back into the cellar, and that's when they chain her up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That's like, one needed to do.
Get back in your corner. Been a bad girl.
Stay in your corner.
Been a bad girl, Mia.
And then we again have Eric, the human punching bag now. Because we know that this man has been stabbed already. He's got a stab wound in his chest. He's been stabbed near the eye with a hypodermic needle. And now the possessed version of Natalie has appeared and just starts shooting at him with a nail gun.
Mm-hmm.
And like, wow.
I mean, I feel like Eric deserved it though.
That's the whole movie is literally Eric. It just the universe getting revenge on Eric.
Literally.
because yeah, he gets shot at with the nail gun a bunch of times, and then David is able to tackle her and kind of like stop her for a little bit, but then she just grabs a crowbar, starts go or a fire poker, just starts going to town on David first until Eric is able to grab the nail gun shooter, just starts shooting her in the face. So so Natalie's like, all right, watch this. I'm gonna take care of you first. So she goes up with the fire poker or the crowbar and just straight up hits him in the hand, and it just splits his hand open. Oh, that is what an effect that was.
Oh yeah.
Like that looked amazing. But she then proceeds to continue to beat him to a pulp until um, David is able to grab the shotgun and literally shoots her arm off. And of course, of course, when Natalie turns, she's like, "David, why would you hurt me?"
Yep.
He's like, "Shut up, you're a liar." But then that's when they're able to, I think it's just like they shoot her again, just to like dispose of her.
Yeah.
And Eric is again being beaten to is like crazy. And funny enough, to heal that wound on his hand, they use duct tape again. Like they don't show him getting like duct tape put on him, but like at one point if you look at him closely, you can see that he's been duct taped together again. Like David was like, duct tape does indeed solve everything, like even split hands.
Does it not? Anytime I split my hand open, I just use duct tape.
Yeah, there you go. And now we see that, Eric is dreadfully hurt, so they realize that the only way they are going to be able to stop it is to set the cabin on fire and possibly kill Mia. If not, they have to pull her away and bury her alive to essentially kill her so they can bring her back to life, and that way they can exorcise the demon. So they begin to do that, but when Eric goes into the cellar to try and stop Mia attacks and definitely gains the upper hand because she grabs his head and literally dunks him into a pool of water.
Yeah.
And she's about to drown him when, lo and behold, here comes Eric to the rescue. He stabs her. They have a little fight, and guess what happens? He knocks out Mia, but he also gets stabbed in the rib in the process.
Yep.
So now he's been stabbed in the eye, stabbed in the close to the heart, shot out with a nail gun, hit with like a crowbar, and now he's been stabbed yet again. Like the movie, like they were like, this man right here is going to be the entire punching bag. Like he's gonna go through all the shit.
As he should.
That's what you get for reading the book.
Exactly. Like literally, if he would have never opened that book, this movie would be about Mia kicking her drug addiction. That's all this would be.
Exactly right. So at this point, after getting severely beaten by and stabbed by everybody and everything in this cabin, he finally succumbs to his injuries and dies. And at that point, yay! So at that point, David decides to take Mia, wraps her in plastic, and starts to bury her alive. And while he's burying her, we do get this really interesting, like, little conversation between them two, because she's just wrapped up in plastic, and she's just saying, "Why are you hurting me, David?" But like in a super calm voice, like, "What did I do, David? Why are you hurting me?"
Oh, I love when any demonic possession movies do shit like this, where the demon is like basically talking like a child to him.
Yeah. And not to she tries to play with his emotions by like saying, "Oh, mom used to scream for you, like you were never there for her, and like you don't deserve to be the one to live and that kind of stuff."
Oof. Oof,
Yeah.
trying to dig in
Oh yeah.
using those.
But then after he buries her alive, he waits for a little bit, digs her back up, and forgot to mention this. He created a makeshift defibrillator with like parts that were just lying around in the work shed, which he
Yeah, I don't
then
know.
duct tapes together.
Hey, duct tape
This whole movie is brought to you by duct tape.
is the glue that holds this movie together. Okay, duct tape is saving everybody in this
It
film.
really is. But he's able to dig her back up, grabs the makeshift defibrillator, and is able to bring her back. So the possession has like left her body. She's been exorcised, so she's back to normal. Um, but
Yep.
just when you think, oh, we're getting the happy ending, like we did it, we're all good. Out comes Jason. What? Not Jason. Oh my god. I don't know why. I was just thinking about
Eric.
Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
Out comes Eric.
How dare you disrespect Jason Voorhees by calling him Eric?
I'm
Jason
sorry.
Jason would never read
I'm
from the book.
sorry. Well, he wouldn't read it. Period. He wouldn't read from any book.
Well, we don't know that. He doesn't talk, but we don't know if he doesn't read.
I don't know. I mean, he doesn't. Especially if he's living at the bottom of a lake. I don't think he would be able to read much. As you can't really read underwater. So anyway, Eric pulls up, and now he's been possessed. So he's also a deadite, and he begins to attack David. And David is able to kind of push Mia back, locks him and Eric in the cabin, and lights the whole thing on fire. And he sacrifices himself to save her.
Yep.
So, of course, it's this horribly traumatic moment. And she bends down because on the floor you can see the necklace that he had given her, which is now in the shape of a skull, which again is reminiscent of the first film.
Yep.
And as she's looking at the necklace, a tiny drop of blood falls from the skies. And then after that, we get a torrential downpour of nothing but blood.
50,000 gallons.
Jeez. 50,000 gallons worth of blood starts pouring all over this. And, out of the ground, out pops the big demon that has apparently, that has taken all the 5 souls that it needed to come back to life. And obviously Mia's terrified.
Yep.
She's like, you were the bastard that was, possessing me this entire time.
Yeah, it did. Like I didn't even realize that. I wasn't counting people.
Yeah, because
It
it took over
kill.
them. Yeah. So it took over Mia first. So it technically, took her soul, even though they got it back. He still took it.
Yeah.
And then it took everybody else. So that gave him the power to come back. And they get into this huge fight where Mia's able to run into the woodshed, and the friggin' monster Deadite leader thing starts stabbing in the crawl space where she's at with a machete. And that scene is so good because it's so tense, like, because he barely misses her leg or her face when he rams his chainsaw through the wood. Until eventually he's able to scrape her leg a little bit.
Yeah.
But then she escapes through the back of the work shed and also grabs the chainsaw. So then she runs underneath the car, the Jeep that was David's, and just starts to rev the chainsaw until finally she's able to turn it on, and she's just waiting. She's like, I'm going to bide my time. So then when our evil creature pulls up, she just demolishes its legs by just cutting them right off.
Mm-hmm.
And this horrendously pissed off creature decides to get revenge by flipping the car onto her, which is relatively successful because it pins down her arm to the side of the car, and she definitely just can't pull it out with any other means except ripping her own arm off, which she does in like the most badass moment. Because I love the fact that the demon is kind of like crawling towards her, and I think the demon like says something or like sticks his tongue out or just does some sort of remark to her, and she's like, "Fuck this shit."
Yeah, the demon says that the demon says that it's gonna feast on her soul, and she says, "Feast on this motherfucker."
Yeah, and just like
Yeah.
it literally stabs the monster in the face and then revs the chainsaw all throughout his face
Yep.
and down his body. And she's getting like blood all over her, and she's just screaming, "Die!"
Yep. And that single moment and line is what cemented Mia as one of my favorite final girls who is severely underrated and doesn't get talked about enough.
Oh, definitely. Mia is a great final girl. Like she not only goes through hell the entire movie, but like she's able to move past
Yeah.
that and just turns into a badass.
And that's what I love about this film is that you don't see that coming. It's like they set up Mia as the demon. And you're like, okay, so I wonder who's going to end up beating her, and then she ends up being the final girl.
Yeah.
I
It was a
love
nice,
that.
yeah, it's a nice little twist to like the formula of it.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. I was so happy when it happened. When I
Yeah,
saw it
I
in
was like,
theaters.
oh my gosh, she came back. That's awesome. And not
I
only
was like,
that, she just
oh,
absolutely
she's the final person.
yeah. And not only that, she absolutely demolished the hell out of this demon by like cutting him in half.
Oh yeah, feast on this motherfucker.
And because of these injuries, the demon kind of sinks back and kind of melts into the ground. The rain stops, and Mia's just left there in that cabin on fire, wondering where to go from here. As the movie fades to black.
Yeah. You see Mia wearing the necklace, and there's like a nice sunrise.
Yeah.
And the book actually closes, which I thought was a nice touch. They're literally closing the book at the end.
Now, what's interesting though is the book is never destroyed; it's still there.
Yep. And then, of course, you get your funny post-credit scene.
Yes, the amazing post-credit scene that is literally a backlit shot of Bruce Campbell saying "groovy" and then turning towards the camera, and that's our after-credit scene.
Mr. Bubba Hostep himself.
That's true.
That's a great film, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Yeah,
it's great.
But yeah, that's pretty much like the majority of the plot of what happens in the 2013 version of Evil Dead.
Great.
Oh yeah, it's a great film. This is one of the things I kept discussing with Vania when it came to ranking these films, and it's between Evil Dead 2 and the Evil Dead remake. Like those two are always fighting it out for my top spot.
Yeah,
for two completely different reasons, honestly.
Yeah, Evil Dead 2 is probably my favorite of the franchise, but remake's definitely right there.
Oh yeah, because like Evil Dead 2 had a lot of the fun aspects of the first movie, but with some of the comedy, which is very well made. Plus, Ash is such a charismatic character that you just can't help but love him. And then what I like about the remake is this thing does not pull any punches. This thing goes hard. Like it's obviously it's got the heavy subject material with addiction and depression and that kind of stuff. But it's also an extremely gory, extremely violent, and just dark movie.
Yeah, what I like about Evil Dead 2 is that they took where the first Evil Dead had like this odd comedy to it that they didn't mean to have it, and they went ahead and just upped that on purpose.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. Yeah, like I remember there was a time that around when the pandemic first started, at work they had some of us, one of us, our job was to basically sit at a table by the door where the employees come in all day long and take temperatures and make sure people pass the little questionnaire.
Yeah.
And there was a few nights where there's a few bit of the times where I got put on that, and I love being put on that because literally all I got to do is just sit there on my phone and get paid to just pretty much sit there essentially and occasionally check temperatures and stuff. And there was literally one night where I got put over there where it was like a block of hours where there was nobody coming in yet. And
Mhm.
so I literally got paid to sit at work and watch Evil Dead 2 on my phone. I was sitting there watching it and I was like, this is the fucking life. I'm
That's
getting paid to watch
awesome.
Evil Dead 2.
It's a dream job right there. But yeah, when it comes to this movie, I always liked how balls to the wall it was. I did like appreciate the fact that it tended to go more for the feel of the first Evil Dead, because the first Evil Dead doesn't have a huge amount of comedy in it. It mostly plays itself very seriously. And that's kind of what you feel in this one. Like there's little to no comedy in this movie at all. Like it
Yeah,
is just in your face, gore and violence and blood and heavy subject matter. So like, geez, it's definitely an interesting watch.
very, very, very great. Very, very great watch. If you're a fan of the Evil Dead series, and you haven't seen the remake, absolutely have to see it.
Yes, you're doing yourself a disservice because it is a really really good movie.
Yeah, you're missing out on a great film. Probably one of the best horror remakes, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and a very underrated final girl.
Definitely. Um. So now comes the time for our rankings. So out of 10 headstones, what do you give this movie?
Out of 10,
Yeah.
ooh, oh man, some people may think I'm being like way too generous with it, but I'm gonna go 9 out of 10.
Okay. Nice.
It's like
That's a good score to give it. Yeah.
this is one of my favorite. I think this is honestly, there's not a lot of problems in this movie, if any.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would give it um either an 8 or a 9 out of 10. The only thing that kind of pulled me back was sometimes the color palette was a little too much like the brown and yellows, and like there was not a lot of variation in the color palette. So
Yeah,
everything just kind of blended together into this like brown and yellow splotch of color. So I feel like it could have done a little bit better when it came to some more color choices.
yeah,
Um, and then some of the other characters could have been developed. Like I would have liked to see more, or would have liked to see the relationship between Eric and David explored a little bit more.
yeah,
Like just to get more of this of a sense of the tension between them. And Natalie and Olivia did almost nothing in this movie.
yeah.
But outside of that, yeah, in terms of just having fun with this movie, even though it's can be really really depressing at times, it's still a very good movie to watch. So yeah, I would also give it I would give it an 8.
Good. It's good, solid ranking for it.
Yeah. But that I think is the end of our little journey through Evil Dead. It's been a really fun ride. I had a blast getting to watch these movies. Like one right after the other. It's been a while since I got a chance to marathon them, so that was a
Yeah.
really really fun time. Um, so with that being said, I do believe it is time for our basic housekeeping. And since you are our special guest this evening, Kyle, I would if you want to go first, you can go right ahead and tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I have two podcasts. Well, I actually have four, but the other two are wrestling podcasts. So I'll just keep it. I'll just talk about the other two. So I have two weekly podcasts. One's a horror podcast called the Trick or Treaters podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Trick or Treat Pod. We post episodes usually every Friday. We try and stay on a weekly schedule. Every now and then we'll have to miss a week or two, but usually it's around weekly on Fridays. And we pretty much just me and my co-host JR. We just watch a horror film. Pick out. Sometimes we'll do themed months, and sometimes we'll just pick out. Both of us pick out two each movies, and we put them together in a month, and we talk about them. and like right now we're currently, since it's Halloween, we're doing like more Halloween stuff. So we recently our episode that's going to drop on Friday of this week is Terrifier, and the next week we're ending October with Halloween 2 from 1981, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then November, we haven't announced November yet, but I think we're gonna do Scream 4 and Thanksgiving, which I'm super excited.
Yes,
It's a super fun one to talk about.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really fun time.
Yeah, and then if you just want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Kyle S Prescott on Twitter, and then my other podcast I do with my good friend Teddy is a cryptids, creepypasta, and other urban legends podcast where each week we'll switch it up. One week we'll do a cryptids, and like we have a series called Cryptids A to Z, where we're just going down the line from A to Z and talking about different cryptids of that letter of the week. Or if we do, or we'll switch it up, and the next week we'll do a creepypasta episode where me and Teddy will both pick out a short story to read either from creepypasta.com or our No Sleep subreddit, and we'll read them on the show and then talk about them and stuff. So it's super fun, and that's called From Beyond the Crypt, and you can follow us at FBTC Podcasts.
Nice. Yeah, you guys post a lot of really cool content on there. And I was very happy that I got to be a guest on your episode for Halloween 2018. That was a really fun time.
Super fun.
Getting to talk about one of my favorite modern horror movies right now.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to Vania, who unfortunately just, like I said, couldn't be here, you can follow her on her Twitter and YouTube at HHN Cultus. She posts a bunch of horror stuff, horror makeup, Halloween Horror Nights related stuff, and some goth culture stuff as well. And then for my personal stuff, you can follow me on Instagram at Yussef1220 and on Twitter at itbeyusef. And then for our podcast, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube as Sounds from the Grave. And then we also have our email, soundsfromthegravepodcast@gmail.com, where you can always, send us an email if you want to talk to or give us a suggestion for anything to talk about. And then for the podcast itself, you can find us on pretty much any platform available, whether it's Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere else you can listen to a podcast. And we do also have a very exciting surprise episode dropping on Halloween night. So yes, keep your eyes and ears peeled for that one. That one's going to be fun.
Definitely be looking for that one.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I follow Vania on her cultist stuff, and it's great stuff to follow. And I'm excited that she said recently that she's going to be adding in behind the scene photos from the shed. I was really surprised by that.
Oh my god!
I'm looking forward to that.
We just had to end it on a high note.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, she actually, she was okay. She told me not to tell anybody, but I'm gonna bend the rules here. She actually said she was gonna change her name to HHN Shedis.
Oh God! You realize that we're both dead.
Oh yeah, so, just so you know, by the time this episode comes out, there will also be an in memoriam at the end of this.
Yeah, for now on, next episodes are just gonna be cultists until she brings on new people to do the podcast.
It'll just be like you can just hear our ghosts in the background, like you're capturing audio.
He'll be the evil and Evil Dead will be in the background going, join us
in the shed.
Join us
in the shed.
In the shed. Yeah, I mean, see, personally, I would have gave Evil Dead 2013 a 10 out of 10 if it would have taken place in a shed instead of a cabin.
Oh my god!
Oh, we had to throw that in there because
it's perfect, of course.
Because V couldn't be on here, of course.
So
of course, Ironically, she missed the episode I'm back on.
So then that reminds me now, we got to talk about the sequel to The Cabin in the Woods, The Shed in the Woods.
Exactly, the shed in the woods.
Oh, that's so much fun. Like she's definitely gonna hate us.
She's gonna kill us.
Especially because she was like, "Don't mention the shed," and we've literally gotten a whole like 5 minute joke about the shed now.
Oh God, that's
Oh,
hilarious. I love it.
man. All right, but I think
Sorry, V.
I think this is the perfect time to end this on like the highest of notes right
yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
So we will definitely catch you guys later, and please check out Kyle's 2 podcasts, as well as if you're into wrestling, check out his 2 wrestling podcasts too. But for now, we will bid you a good night or good day, and that you stay spooky.